One of the more common questions I get from my users when they're working with sign cells in Microstation is, why do my sign cells flag in CAD Conform whenever I edit or delete the sign designation? Now, I'm here to tell you that the answer isn't just drop the status of the cell. It's not necessary anymore. The designations are actually data fields within the sign cell itself, and data fields are what allow you to change or even delete the contents of the data field without actually changing the definition of the sign cell. And I've decided to create this video to help show the proper technique for editing, moving, or even deleting sign designations in Microstation. Up here we've got a stop sign cell. It's an R11 directly placed from the CAD Conform menu. So what I'm about to show you is really the most common mistake I've found that users are making when attempting to edit or change the sign designation. If I come over and go to edit text, I go to edit the text, you can see inside the box here, R11. Say I wanted to totally remove this. That way. Okay, text is gone. But if I go to run a check in CAD Conform, you can see CAD Conform's picked this up, and our difference here for an R11 is it differs from the library definition. I'll show you why. If I go up and I undo this, you can see when I go to edit text and I click R11, you can see this is kind of grayed out. The text is gray and I can't actually highlight anything, but if I double click it, you can see the box comes up to enter a data field. That's because these cells contain data fields which allow the user to go back and actually change the contents of the data field without modifying the definition of the cell. So if you come in and delete this, you're deleting the actual data field. CAD Conform is going to pick that up and it's going to flag it. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can double click on it here and actually go in and delete this text and say OK. You can see now we've got an empty data field. You can see the data field still exists, but it's empty. There's no data in it. So if I do a data point, you can see we have no more designation. If I do a check here, notice it doesn't flag. Now the other way to do this is to use the fill-in single enter data field under your text tools, and that gives us a little text editor box. You can actually highlight, get a box drawn around the data field, and you can actually highlight this text and delete it. One thing to note though is you can watch if I do a data point now, it doesn't actually change anything. Just a little workaround you have to do is actually hit the space bar, and that will go ahead and clear that data field as well without causing any modifications to the actual sign cell definition. So that's two ways to actually edit the data field or move it. Now we also have a tool under the common feature table called Move Sign Designations. If you go under the Tools and Move Sign Designation, this will actually activate the tool. If you come down in the status bar, you can see we've got Move Sign Designation, Select Sign. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this sign here with a single click and then just a data point to bring up the sign designation box. And this is where we make a selection. We either want none, that single left, right, top, bottom. The difference between single and double is a single line is just the designation. A double is two-line designation, which also includes the sign size. However, you will have to put in the actual dimensions of the sign if you choose to put a double. So, but for this example, I want to move this sign designation to the left side of the sign. So I'm going to pick single left, and with a click you can see it's moved that designation over to the left side of the sign. Now if I want to move it again, if I need to move it again, I can highlight the sign, repeat the steps, say I need it on the top now. So a right click reset will end the tool. So what do we do when we want to clear out a data field using that tool? Same thing. We go back, we go Tools, Move Sign Designation, select the sign, do a data point, and say none. That will actually clear the data field. So say you want to move the designation of more than one sign. You can do that by going back to the tools and move sign designation, and you can select the sign. Notice down below here we've got in our status bar, select additional signs or data point to accept. So say I want to move this top sign and also this bottom sign designation. I can click the bottom sign and actually do a data point. And what it's going to do is start in order of the signs that you've selected. So it's going to start with our first cell here and say I want to move that to the bottom. Okay, we moved our sign designation to the bottom of that sign. Now it's on to the second sign cell that we selected and say I want to move this one to the left. You can come over and say single left. You can see now we're out of the loop. A right click to end the tool, and that's really all there is to it. Now if I were to go ahead and run a check on these signs, you can see all of these signs pass because we haven't modified the definition of the cell. If I hover over this cell, you can see the cell name is still the same. There was no need to drop the sign cell in order to make the sign pass in CAD conform. Something else to note, the same thing applies with our signs like this M14 that have X's. Okay, if we were to go and try and edit text here on these, again you have to pay attention. If you start typing, you actually have typed over. If I were to type 55, I've actually typed over that data field and replaced it. And so if I try and run a check in CAD conform, cell differs from library definition. So I'll go ahead and undo this and again show the proper technique. A couple of different ways. You can use fill in single enter data field, or you can go over to edit text, select text, double click the data field to get edit enter data field box, type in the data, click OK, and a data point. So if I run a check again, see all of this passes.